Hey, good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? How are you, ZubiaLive? I'm your host, Shane Schulz, today. Listen, you may know me from Motivated Strength. You may know me from the Speaking the Heart Radio Network, or you may know me through health advocacy in general. I know what it's like to go through a number of different challenges. That's why when I had the opportunity in order to be able to speak through the ZubiaLive platform, I knew what I wanted to talk about at this time right away. And the reason why I say that is because we often go through a number of different challenges when the holiday season comes along. And when I say we, I'm talking about people who go through chronic pain, chronic illness, mental illness, maybe life experiences that you just can't let go because it doesn't seem fair. And I get that. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to build a 4-part series. And today is the first part of that series. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is surviving the stress of the holidays. That's right, surviving the stress of the holidays. You know what? The holidays come each and every year, don't they? In fact, they come a little bit sooner every single time. Now, here's the thing. When we have the holidays coming up, there's a lot of things that go along into our mindset, isn't there? I mean, when we're going through challenges and struggles like pain, like illness, it's just an added thing that's on our shoulders when it comes to the holiday season. Think about that. I mean, really, you got to talk to a number of people. You got to go to a number of different places. And if you aren't able to go, well, then you also have to deal with you, yourself, and you, right? Or me, myself, and I, because I'm just there with you myself, okay? So when we're going through these challenges and struggles, yeah, it really does build on some stress. So what we're going to talk about is how to survive stress during the holidays. Right? How to survive the stress of the holidays. All right. So now let's talk about this. What are the holidays really about? Well, I know what they're supposed to be about, right? They're supposed to be about remembering the holiday spirit, right? Remembering your family, remembering the memories of what it is that you've had in the past, remembering the gratefulness that you have, right? You believe that you are grateful for what it is that you have received through your family, through your friends, through your loved ones. That's something that really is all about. But you know what? Let's get real. There's a monetary value that's put onto this holiday, and it's not something that is altogether the reason why it's all about it. When we're talking about the holidays, we're talking about like gifts. We're talking about like going to parties. We're talking about like having outfits that are going to fit that particular party and everything in that sense. That's just the bottom line. I'm just going to be real with you. Even though that's not what it was really meant for, all right? So let's bring it to what it was really meant for. I mean, think about this. If you're dealing with chronic pain, chronic illness, mental illness, how much money do you have? How much money do you really have in order to be able to get something that you want to make memorable for the holidays? I'll be honest with you, I've been on disability. I know what that's like. It's not like winning the lottery. So, when it comes to the holiday season, money certainly is something that develops stress for our minds and our mindset. Also, another thing is our assumptions, right? Our assumptions and validations. When I say our assumptions and validations, what I'm talking about is that we assume that we're going to have to explain ourselves for what it is that we go through on a day-to-day basis. And believe it or not, folks that are on the outside looking in, I'm just here to tell you, we don't just develop our symptoms during the holidays, or we don't just develop our symptoms when we're in front of you. We actually have pain, and we actually deal with illness 365 days out of the year. It's just a matter of how we manage it in a number of different ways. A lot of people are going through chronic conditions. And when you go through those types of things, you have certain days that are a little bit better than others. And sometimes the holidays does not dictate that result. I'm going to say that again. The holidays don't necessarily dictate that result. So when we're dealing with the challenges and struggles that we have, sometimes we're going to have good days and sometimes we're going to have some not so good days, right? So when we're doing that, we need to bring down the assumptions, really bring down the assumptions, because we don't want to assume that we're going to get into an argument with Uncle Joe because of having to explain why it is that I can't work a full-time job and I can only work a part-time job because I'm fully exhausted, or I have chronic fatigue, or I'm dealing with nerve pain, or whatever the case may be. We don't want to have to go through that, right? So we assume that we're going to have to, and we gear ourselves up. Well, we don't want to do that. All right. And then last thing is that we want to enjoy the holidays. We want to give ourselves permission to do that. All right. So let's start with the first one. All right. Let's start with the monetary value. Bottom line, you don't have to be keeping up with the Joneses. That's the bottom line. And in fact, here's something that a lot of people don't even realize. The gifts that people get are forgotten. Believe it or not, they're forgotten. But it's the moments that they get that are never forgotten. So what I'm telling you is that when you make an effort to give a moment to someone, I promise you, they're going to hold on to that. I promise you, they're going to value that more than any monetary gift that you can give them. Any gift that you can put into a little box, wrap it up into a wrapping paper, and in a little bow, I promise you, a moment is going to take that away. It's going to wipe it right out. Believe it or not, it really will. Because it's the moments that we really do hold on to. So why don't we do our very best to give that moment? Now, doesn't that take a little bit of stress away? I mean, because your wallet or your purse, it doesn't really stretch as long as what it used to be able to. And so when that comes into that play, when you're dealing with chronic pain, chronic illness, mental illness, it's the moments that you give people that are going to make that difference. It's the moments that you give people that are going to let them know that they are of value to you, even though that you go through what it is that you go through. That's really important. So that's number one. All right, so number two, right? Okay, our assumptions and validations. Listen, how many times have you gone through the holidays and you sat down at the dinner table, or you might have been in the living room, or whatever the case may be, and somebody said something that might have been critical of what it is that your symptoms are, or somebody might have said, well, you should be able to do this, or you should be able to do that, or you're going to have to do this, or you're going to have to get over that. How many conversations have you had with that happening? I know I've had quite a few myself, and I'm not just talking to my family, because I lived in 16 states in this country. So there's been many a times as to where I wasn't home for the holidays. And so I know this, that when we gear up to validate what it is that we go through, we are strong-headed. We are stubborn. We are really committed to doing that, aren't we? We're committed to telling people, listen, you don't understand the pain that I'm in. Right? You don't walk in the shoes that I walk in. You don't feel the illness that I feel. You don't understand. My doctor tells me that it's all in my head, and it's not in my head, because I know what it is that I'm going through. How many times have you had that conversation? How many times have you had a time as to where you had to, explain yourself, why it is that you were so unhappy during the holidays? I mean, like, what's wrong with you? Because everything is so going for you well. And everybody's having a good time. So why don't you have a good time? How many times have you had that happen when you're dealing with depression? Listen, that's just bottom line. Again, I'm going to be real with you. These things are going to happen. Okay. So what I'm telling you is that we need to plan to not have to validate ourselves. There are 365 days out of the year. You can utilize the majority of those days to be able to validate yourself on another day. In other words, don't take the holidays for that time. And I'll tell you why. Another reason why is because everybody who comes to the holidays is going to want to be able to make an impact, right? So they're going to want to fix everything that's wrong. Or they think, you finally have your aunts, you finally have your uncles, you finally have your cousins, whatever the case may be. And you're all together and you're all about emotions, right? You're all about emotions during the holidays. Well, those emotions can really kind of fluctuate. They can fluctuate in a good way, and they can fluctuate into a real quick way to where it's not so good. Sometimes it's critical. Sometimes it's stigma boosting, right? I'm not talking stigma breaking. I'm talking stigma boosting. So when we're sitting there and we're dealing with what we're dealing with, I promise you, the less emotion that you are bringing to the table is going to make a big, big difference for you. So don't feel that you have to validate yourself while going through the holidays. All right. Now, the last thing that we're going to talk about is giving yourself permission to enjoy the holidays. Listen, you have to give yourself permission to do it. Nobody else can do that for you. You have to give yourself permission. You have to give yourself permission to receive the good stuff. You have to give yourself permission to receive the good stuff despite what it is that you're going through. Now, you might be dealing with pain. You might be dealing with illness. You might be dealing with dread. I know what that's like. Believe me, the holidays were a tough time for me. They were really tough because what I would find myself doing is I would isolate. We had a room that was downstairs, and we had a beautiful room there that had like a stove or what, a wood stove. So it had a nice warm wood stove, had a nice chair, watching the football game, whatever the case may be. And I would isolate while the party's going on upstairs. That sounds familiar to you? So here it is. I'm isolating. So I know what it's like to deal with the stresses of the holidays. I know what that's like. So what you need to do is that you need to give yourself permission to enjoy the holidays. Now, you may not necessarily be in the holiday spirit, right? But you can still enjoy the holidays. Remember, I told you about the moments? The moments mean a lot. So when you take the time in order to sit down with a relative or sit down with a loved one and let them know that they're of value to you, I promise you it's going to make a difference, not only for them, but also for you. All right. So give yourself permission to enjoy the holidays. I know that you are going through some tough times. I will never say that you're not. I know that you're going through chronic pain. I know that you're going through chronic illness. I know that you're going through mental illness. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you reach outside of what it is that you're ill by so that you can have what it is that's meant for you, as opposed to how you are merely existing, right? I say it a lot. I say that we are trying to reach outside of what it is that we're ill by so that we can be who it is that we're meant to be versus who we might merely exist to be. See, existing during the holidays sucks. Bottom line, it really sucks. So what we want to do is that we want to participate and we want to value those holidays and we want to give ourselves permission to do it. All right, so those are 3 things that I want you to think about. Now, we're going to be doing the second part of this series next Monday, same time. I hope you really enjoy what it is that I'm talking about here. I hope that it makes a difference for you. I hope it gives you a little bit of insight. If you like what it is that we're doing, please leave me a comment. Let me know. And if you don't, if you think that there's something that I'm missing or that there's something that I could improve upon, please let me know that as well. All right, listen, this is ZubiaLive.com. It's all about health and wellness topics that affect you. And the holidays certainly affect you no matter what ailment that you're going through. Hope you have an extraordinary day. We'll talk to you again soon.